And welcome into the Rant, everybody. Caden McFarland. I think you know this guy.
Hello, folks.
Former Channel 2 sports director Big Al Jerkins joining me from here on the bench, the Sooners bench in Atlanta.
A solemn
Man, it was solemn.
Sooner bench.
Let's talk about this thing. And let's start with the shock of it. You know what I mean? I think watching this thing, LSU scores easily at 7-0, but then the Sooners answer and it's 7-7, and then Joe Burrow just explodes. And I was not prepared for this. I thought LSU would score with ease. I thought they would eventually win. I thought it would be by double digits. There is no way in the world I thought they could score 49 points in the first half and just completely dominate this game in the way they did.
When you look back at this game, I don't think I've ever seen the first 8 plays be so dominated by one team.
Yeah, they won them all.
OU lost the toss, got the ball right off the bat, correct?
Yep.
Sack.
Yes.
3-yard loss.
Yeah.
Incomplete.
Punt.
Punt.
Bad punt.
Terrible punt, 24 yards. LSU scores in 3 plays.
Bing, bang, boom.
And from that point on, everybody's scratching their heads. And I know there were a lot of people already watching, even though OU did tie it up.
Yeah.
It never seemed like they really tied it up.
Yeah.
It just, it was frustrating to watch. Even for college football fans, I don't know, maybe they don't appreciate LSU as much as we should, but I think they're a little bit more disappointed in the way OU countered as well, because this definitely throws out the argument to have more than 4 teams in a playoff.
Well, I can't disagree with that. I mean, look, it's different every year, but certainly this year there are the top 3 teams, and then you draw a big line. And unfortunately, the Sooners were shorthanded one, and were just ill-equipped to deal with Joe Burrow. I mean, what can you say about a guy who throws for 400 yards and 7 touchdowns in the first half? Al, in a big bowl game, I've never seen a performance like that. I have never seen a better 30 minutes of football from a quarterback in a big game against a quality opponent than what Joe Burrow did.
Aside from CeCe Lamb's catch, set up the first touchdown.
One-handed NFL twisting catch.
50 shots went to LSU.
Yeah, they made the play.
Every aspect.
That's right.
And you can't win that way.
No.
LSU played a clean game when it counted. No penalties when it really mattered. I'm extremely disappointed in the way OU played after hearing from a distance now that they're taking a new attitude towards this game. They feel their defense is better now. Riley took a different approach to prepare for this game, that he was mad at LSU talking trash. That never materialized.
This was like getting a bucket of cold water dumped on you. There was reality to this. OU finished at the top of the Big 12 in total defense. They were a top 25 team in terms of total defense. So the storyline was, look, Alex Grinch has fixed this thing. We knew that it wasn't at the level it needs to be to win a national championship necessarily, but the thinking was they had taken just this quantum leap forward. And this ball game showed us not so fast, my friend. The Big 12 did not have great quarterback play this year. I think the offense was able to control things, keeping it on the ground and keeping the defense off the field. We saw in this ball game, and look, you got to admit, Turner Yell was out, and depth had been an issue. They lost several players to injury, through the course of the season. But they're not ready to play with these guys. That's the point, right? Offensively, generally speaking, sure, they are. But defensively, they still lag behind. They've made some progress, but not as much as we thought.
LSU made it look as if Jalen Hurts was wearing ankle weights.
Yeah.
That's how fast this team is. Because we've seen Jalen Hurts get out of trouble before. LSU did a fantastic job of containing him.
No doubt.
It was really an incredible display of defense as far as LSU is concerned. Speed kills.
Hats off to Ed Ogeron, who's just a much finer coach than I thought, than I would have thought 1 year ago. Give this guy credit. This team certainly looks like they're capable of going on to win the national championship. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts. What an incredible career, incredible legacy. It's so unique that he gets to finish it off at OU. He won 2 SEC championship games in this building. Rallied the team after being benched 1 year ago. He was also benched at halftime of the national championship game that his team won. And now it kind of comes full circle, and the Sooners just get depantsed in this ball game. Look, the OU offense was not up to the task, but they weren't an abomination necessarily either. LSU's tough to score on, as you mentioned, but his 1 year in a Sooners uniform, second in the Heisman voting, everything else. It's a neat story that certainly doesn't end the way anybody wanted.
All right, let me ask you this hypothetical, because I think we're going to see more of this
as
college football continues. If Jalen Hurts goes into the College Football Hall of Fame 2 blocks from here, what jersey does he wear?
What jersey is he wearing?
Alabama or OU? He broke records with OU.
Sure.
Heisman runner-up with OU.
Which homecoming does he go to?
Okay. You better hope they're on different dates.
It's a great question. I think as time goes on, he spent more time at Alabama, has more relationships there, and we're just going to see more and more of this in college football, and it's odd. But these kids are certainly allowed to make business decisions because this is a big business. I mean, look around you. This was the biggest crowd to ever watch a football game in this stadium.
And the Falcons went to the Super Bowl
a
couple of years ago.
That's right. It's a big business. It makes a lot of money. And for the kids at the very top who have NFL futures potentially pending, how can you keep them from jumping into that transfer portal? Of course, I wish it didn't happen that way. I wish the kids would stick it out and learn those lessons and on, but especially at the quarterback position where you can't play two. Joe Burrow, Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, all transfers, and you get it. It worked out for those guys. It doesn't work out for some others. But look, this is not going away.
Remember at the OU Texas game, and I said, boy, I didn't realize Jalen Hurts was that big.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Burrows was that big either.
Yeah.
He's a stud.
No doubt.
This is woodshed, bro.
Oh, he made throws on the run that I just can't remember anybody making with that kind of ease. He gets out of trouble. He is so calm. He's got a couple of moves that he goes to that just seem to work every time. And then the fact that he is on point with every throw out of the pocket and way downfield. It's I don't even know who I would compare him to. He's playing at a level that's like as good as college quarterbacks can possibly play.
Got it up here.
Yeah.
The only quarterback, and you're going to have to help me with the name because I'm going blank here. The only quarterback that I saw throw a pass that was more miraculous than that pass that Burrows threw as he got thrown out of bounds and it was completed down the sideline was the Central Florida quarterback who played at Jacksonville.
Central Florida quarterback. Oh, Bortles?
Bortles.
Okay. Yeah.
Bortles at TU.
Yeah.
Was going in the opposite direction and threw it against his body.
Sure.
But aside from that,
see if I can find video of that.
I don't want to get way off the track. Yeah.
Even on the rant, we got to have cover video. All right, here let's wrap up with this, Al. This is the first time Lincoln Riley's had to endure this. Last year it was 28-0, but they made a game of it, and by the end, people were really singing the praises of Kyler Murray, and only giving criticism to the OU defense, not Lincoln Riley or the OU offense. This is the first time he has been flat out schooled. How does he respond? And now there are so many good things in place. He and Alex Grinch are such a great team. I think they'll continue to recruit better. But look, a loss like this can smart what's important for him in terms of response.
What if Jerry Jones makes a phone call Monday?
Oh, we're recording this. Let's hope he hasn't made it already.
Okay, we can edit that out.
Black Monday in the NFL is coming.
It's coming. Although Jerry will probably wait until Tuesday or Wednesday because he's not going to share the news.
He wants his own, yeah.
But I don't think that's too far out of the question that Riley's name is going to come up.
So you think a loss like this might sober somebody up, and you might open your mind to the possibility of the NFL now when maybe you wouldn't have if you felt that your team was on a certain trajectory and then a game like this makes you think, we're a little further away than I thought.
That could keep him here, but I'm also wondering who he decides will be the quarterback. Is there going to be another portal involved? Is there going to be another transfer involved?
Yeah.
Where does this team go? How much more do they have to play better to be in? You guys, I know, talked about it on the rant last week. Talked about if OU stumbles in this game, will the committee say enough already with OU? They've had their shots.
Yeah.
We're going to give it to Utah or an SEC two-loss team or whatever the case may be, especially if LSU wins the national championship. Well, I'm saying that I think OU is walking a fine line right now in that regard. Yes, they have the brand, and I've argued that the brand is pretty darn good.
Absolutely.
But people have short memories,
This-
and the last 3 years have not been good.
You say the words 55-19, and an entire state of people know
What
what
you're
you're
talking
talking about all these years later. This is that kind of game. People are going to remember Joe Burrow throwing for 400 yards and 7 touchdowns for a long time. I mean, saying it out loud is just ridiculous. And people are going to remember. So,
Now,
you go win a Big 12 championship next year, and you put together the kind of season that's worthy of being in the top 4, and people will forget some. They'll give you another shot. You're OU. You're OU. You'll get another shot.
But you're really going to have to overachieve now.
It does hurt what's, in your reputation at least some. You can't avoid it when it's 63-28 like it is on that scoreboard right now. That hurts. All right, one quick one before we get out of here on OSU and Mike Gundy. They finished the year 8-5, which is a 1-game improvement. Injuries really derailed their season. Tylan Wallace going down, and then Spencer Sanders going down. Chuba Hubbard had a great season, 2,100 yards, but he's likely out the door on his way to the NFL. He gave a 2-week timeline. It's been 15 years for Mike Gundy at OSU, and it's not getting any easier in the Big 12 because I think Kansas State has the right coach. Looks like Iowa State's got the right coach for a while. Looks like Baylor's got the right coach for a while. What do you think is important for Gundy to maintain as he tries to go from year 15 to 20 and keep OSU where it's been the last decade? What's most important in terms of maintaining?
Do you not think OSU is capable of winning the Big 12 championship sometime in those 5 years if they recruit properly? Or is it going to take a Big 12 championship? Is it going to have to take a tie? Is it going to have to be a 10-2 record and win the bowl game? I mean, what are the expectations in Stillwater now? Certainly they're more than 8-5. So I think every time the argument comes up, we've had enough with Mike Gundy, I think people are going to sit and say, what are we thinking? He's our bloodline. He's been true to OSU for years. Why in the world are we giving up? I mean, it'd be different if they were 2-10 for the last 3 years. Then I would understand
yes.
it. But
most successful coach in school history.
Right.
And he played
and they almost won a bowl game yesterday.
There are educated fans who think that he doesn't care to recruit as much as you need. He doesn't have the passion for recruiting that you need to have to maintain. I think he's got an incredible eye for talent. I think recruiting is actually one of his great strengths, or at least that eye for talent and the ability to develop it.
He's a good finisher in recruiting.
That's exactly. But you need, I think their recruiting class is about 40 this year. It needs to be better than that, Al. They need a pro quarterback. You mentioned what does it take to win the Big 12 one of these years? He needs a pro quarterback. Maybe this Illingworth kid that they just recruited out of California will be that. Maybe Spencer Sanders will grow into that. You need a pro quarterback, and he does need to recruit defensively and the offensive line. He needs in the trenches at a little higher level. I'm not saying they got to be top 10 in the country, but you got to bump up from about 40 into the top 30 or maybe even top 25, in my opinion.
I'm going to bring something up that could be completely way off the wall. But I think we also have to consider the empty nest syndrome that's about ready to hit the Gundy family. The kids are going off to college
soon. So youngest is still a couple years away, but Gunner's
it's within that. So, and he loves to watch his kids play.
Yeah.
And he loves to be around his family. So if they're off at college or whatever, he may want to look for something different.
Interesting.
Not saying different, a little bit more speculative as a coach at OSU. Take more chances or whatever the case may be, or feel re-energized being a coach at OSU. So I don't think you can dismiss that. I know sometimes I go overboard in that emotional thing, but I think, especially with Mike Gundy and the family guy that he is and all that stuff, I think that's a major factor.
To people who think he's gotten a little bit lazy, I just flat out disagree. And look, his son Gunner is going to be there starting in 2021. He's actually skipping a year in hopes that he can line up and get some playing time on the back end of his career. You're telling me Mike Gundy doesn't want that program to be absolutely rocking and rolling when his son might have a chance to play at the quarterback position? In my opinion, he wants it badly. He simply has come to the conclusion that OSU will never be able to successfully recruit some of the top 4- and 5-star kids enough without being left at the doorstep by a bunch of others that leave holes on your roster. I think he thinks this is the best way to go. That said, I think he still needs to get a few kids who are a few more kids who are difference makers.
You are right, but I also feel that that is not a very good gauge to use when you rate a coach as to how many 5 stars and 4 stars they get, because there are too many that fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
I'll use Dylan Stoner and Malcolm Rodriguez as a perfect example.
Absolutely. How about Chuba Hubbard, who was a 3-star?
Okay, so yes and no. You get what I'm saying?
Yes
if you
and
can
no.
recognize talent, who cares if he's a 3, 4, or 5 star? And some 5 stars, who knows? They may go to the pros in 2 years, or they may not be as you made such a big hype subject out of it. You get this 5-star, and you brag about it until it's fall, and the kid doesn't make the team.
Right.
So what good is that?
Well, this has been fun.
The game was not fun.
Well, no, seeing
I know,
you
but
was
seeing
fun.
you,
The game,
you having me contribute means so much to me. I don't know what else. I don't know how else to tell you.
Well, it means a lot to me because I'm catching a flight in just a couple of hours, and it would have been really hard to pull this together. But seriously, thank you.
All right.
Thank you for being here.
All right.
The rant started like this, except we weren't in Atlanta, sitting on the losing bench in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But so we've come full circle in a strange way. So
let me ask you before we go.
Yeah.
With the way OU lost, when the final poll comes out, are they still 4?
Oh no.
Are they out of the top 10?
They lose major style points. No. They're going to fall to. Well, that's a great question. I would have to see, who else does what in some of those New Year's 6 games. I couldn't even tell you right now who's fighting. If Georgia wins their bowl game, they'll jump them, almost certainly. I would say there's a chance if Oregon or Utah, certainly Oregon's in the Rose Bowl. Yeah, Oregon beats Wisconsin, they'll jump them. Wisconsin might jump them with 2 losses. All that stuff's in play. I think OU has to fall to probably about 7. I could be wrong.
This was a bad loss.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking up at 63-28, and I'm telling you, 12 years from now, you say 63-28, and they'll know what you're talking about in the state of Oklahoma.
Wow.
So, I also think they'll rebound because Lincoln Riley and Alex Grinch are just too dynamic a duo.
You're probably right.
Some of the kids who got in the fourth quarter really showed some promise. I'll be interested in, Spencer Rattler, and the future is bright, even though tonight was real ugly. Hey, that's the rant, everybody. Take care.